Today's episode is coming at you thanks to Bike Pittsburgh. If you want a unique, colorful, sporty way to explore our city, mark your calendar for Sunday, August 24th and pedal Pittsburgh. I have done support for this race over the years, but race isn't the right word. Bike Pittsburgh curates 4 different bike routes, so riders of all ages and all skill levels can casually cruise around or be a true endurance warrior and brave some of our longest, steepest hills. No matter which route you choose, you'll get to experience the rivers and bridges and gorgeous views that make biking in Pittsburgh so unique. And there are treats, rest stops with snacks and drinks, music, games, a whole festival at the finish line, and mechanic support so you can learn something along the way. There are lots of directions, you cannot get lost. Plus, I can personally attest there is also very friendly medical support should you find yourself in a pickle and need a little help. Pedal Pittsburgh is truly amazing. It's Bike Pittsburgh's largest annual fundraiser, and your support helps make our streets safer and more accessible for all. Take a leap, plan your ride, and register now at pedalpgh.org. Today's show is supported by Turbo Tenant. Being a landlord in Pittsburgh is not simple. There's a lot to keep track of, whether you're renting out a place in Polish Hill or managing a duplex in Regent Square. Turbo Tenant can help you make it easier. It's free, it's online, and it handles everything from listings to leases to rent collection with a lot less stress. More than 800,000 landlords already use it, including a bunch of folks right here in Pittsburgh. So give it a try at turbotenant.com. It takes 2 minutes to set up your account, and again, free. That's turbotenant.com. Today on CityCast Pittsburgh, downtown is getting a grocery store. Our bridges are still terrible, and the South Side might start closing early. I'm with CityCast Mallory Falk and Sophia Lowe talking about some of the biggest stories of the week. It's Friday, July 25th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. Hi, Mallory. Hi, Sophia.
Hello.
Hello. I think we had a fun week around here. In case you missed it, we've had a bunch of neat shows. So on Monday, we talked about ways to save money on your first house. Sophia and I especially wish we had known about any of this before we bought our house.
Oh, yeah. I was listening and I was like, I did not do any of these things. I went about this all wrong.
On Tuesday, we talked about Pittsburgh area getaway ideas. A lot of really good inspiration in there.
Yeah, a lot of unexpected stops that I am excited to check out now.
Then on Wednesday, we talked about our favorite restaurants and places we still want to try. I feel like we reset our New Year's resolutions for July forward.
Yeah, it turns out the restaurants you want to eat at in the winter are radically different than where I want to go in the summer.
And then Thursday, we had sort of a mini dive, a snorkel maybe, into what is holding up our Pennsylvania budget, the state budget. By the way, I did ask our guest after we got off the mic, Spotlight PA Stephen Caruso, why Pennsylvania is so uniquely bad at hitting budget deadlines. And I thought his answer was actually really interesting.
Pennsylvania is unique in that we have a full-time legislature that's supposed to, meet for all 2 years that they're elected in for their terms and, pass bills the whole time along with passing the annual budget. Other states, sometimes some of them might deal with this. I think, for instance, right now, Michigan's in the middle of a budget impasse, but other states too that have part-time legislatures that meet only, for a couple months every 2 years or so, they don't have to deal with this because it's just, they have to get stuff done during their allocated session or it's just not going to be done. But other than that, there is not as much, that timeline-based accountability in Pennsylvania as you might have in, say, a Kansas, looking to other states.
So a classic, you fill the time that you have, and because Pennsylvania lawmakers have unlimited time, we never get a budget, or we never get a budget on time.
So we need to start kicking them out at a certain point.
True, but also I always love when I find that the power players in our city and state are no better than I am when it comes to healthy habits.
Except you get in trouble when you don't pay your bills on time.
That's true. When I blow past a deadline, that has real repercussions.
So I just thought that was worth like adding in. We'll move things back into Pittsburgh proper, over to the south side, where city officials want to impose a curfew on the busiest section of East Carson Street. So like we keep seeing different numbers, but like roughly 10th Street, maybe 12th Street over to 18th. This would be Fridays and Saturdays in the summer, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. A curfew.
Yeah, it's like a partial curfew, partial shutdown that's being proposed because of alleged rowdiness and chaos in that area. So there would be security checkpoints at either end of that stretch of East Carson, and you would have to show your ID and prove you're 21 and up. So if you're legally allowed to drink, you could still get in. It's really kind of like a youth curfew there. City Councilor Bob Charland, who represents that neighborhood, told KDK that if this plan went into effect, the city would probably have to hire a private security firm to help with checking IDs. This wouldn't just be like
Pittsburgh police standing out there wanding everybody.
Yeah, because the police presence has definitely been increased for a few weeks in the summer.
But like at a cost, right? Like every time they pull in more officers to the south side, that means they're not elsewhere in the city. The Trib had a really good story, I thought, where they were talking about how like city police aren't saying how many officers were staffed elsewhere because they've had to pull in so many in this neighborhood. I mean, just in terms of the curfew, I haven't seen a lot of people fussing about this, but
you have not been on Pittsburgh Reddit, clearly.
Are people complaining?
Yeah.
I think people complain anytime they hear the words curfew.
It's just for people who can't drink yet, which like feels sort of chill to me. Like I experienced my like 18 to 25-year-old like years in a place that had a major entertainment district. And this was standard. Like you had to go in, like stand in a line. You had to show an ID to get on. I think theirs was 9 p.m., which in the summertime, it was still light outside. Everyone got wanded. They checked bags. And then you went and acted a fool however you wanted to. It was fine.
That sounds pretty intense to me, just because that's unfamiliar. I think, like, it is different, though, to have a curfew for a few blocks. Like, you're not saying teenagers, youths can't be outside or, like, need to go home by a certain point.
No children on the streets of Pittsburgh.
Yeah, like, theoretically, they can't get into the bars anyway. So, like, I don't know.
Yeah, this does not feel like a big deal to me. Like, if anything, I actually think this is a good sign of Pittsburgh growing up. Like, the city's talked about wanting to have an official entertainment district for years. This is what comes with that. You just maybe don't like how it's applying itself.
Although I guess when I imagine an entertainment district in Pittsburgh, I imagine somewhere like super vibrant with lots of actual entertainment, like lots of music and some theater, and not just people like stumbling out of bars.
You look at 4th Avenue at Louisville, you look at Bourbon Street, you look at Broadway in Nashville, Beale Street in Memphis. Like, there's music. I'll give you that. There's not as much music and on the south side, but it's a lot of bars, a lot of just drunk people stumbling out of bars.
That's true. Maybe what I'm imagining is more like the plan for Arts Landing in the cultural district or something.
Yeah, I don't know of a single one of these spaces that has like a major theater that's part of the actual entertainment district. Like, they keep the theater goers safer elsewhere.
That's fair. I feel a little silly now. The thing this has made me think about, though, and this is a lot of the conversation I was also seeing on Reddit, is just sort of where are the third spaces for young people in Pittsburgh? Like,
there aren't really good ones.
Like, it makes me say bring back Club Zoo, which was that under 21 dance club that used to exist here. I was extremely straight-laced in high school, so this is not where I was hanging out, and it closed down
Even
in
though it was
2016.
under 21, you could have.
I could have, but I was a very like, I don't need drugs, I'm high on life kind of kid.
I mean, does Gen Alpha even need like a club space? Genuine question. Because like everything I keep seeing is that the youngsters, they're not interested in drinking and partying the way millennials were.
But I still think like, you know, young people need a place to hang out, and it'd be nicer if there was like a designated space for them instead of just like on the sidewalk, you know?
But there are tons of places for young people to hang out. Like, you can go to coffee shops, you can go to bookstores, you can go to like any of our outdoor green spaces.
But those aren't open late. And I was like up a lot as a teenager.
Yeah, that's the thing too. Because even thinking about like this happened, I believe when I was in high school, that like, for example, the movie theater in the waterfront created a curfew where you can't be there after 8 p.m. if you're under 18
that's just
without
rude.
a chaperone.
No, I'm not. Do not support.
I think there has been like, there are still some spaces, but some of these places that are designed for young people. And Sophia, like you're saying, like after the hours when a coffee shop would close, I think Pittsburgh's kind of lost those over time. I'm not saying Club Zoo is the best space, and I'm not saying opening something like that means you're not, like, you're always going to have young people trying to get to the center of drinking life in Pittsburgh. But some of this feels like trying to address the symptom rather than a deeper issue.
Well, another question I had with Councilman Charlin's proposal about like that private security firm is how much is that going to cost and like who's paying for it? Because I still am seeing all these headlines. Well, I guess I am, but like the city is, maybe in a financially precarious situation or maybe going broke.
We are definitely in a financially precarious situation, and we have underfunded. You can like this or not, but we have underfunded our police bureau for several years now. They do not have enough staff for this. If you want to do it, you have to bring in other people. So that's more taxpayer money. And the whole thing that Corey O'Connor's been screaming about from the county side, before he ran for mayor, was we have too many contractors. We have too many outside firms. So is this a thing he's going to condone as potentially mayor if he wins the election in November? Another outside firm stepping in where we could just have our own salaried police force?
Yeah, and O'Connor's counterpart, our city controller, has talked about this too, and actually just this week released an annual fiscal report raising concerns about the precarity of our financial situation.
Well, the one thing that sounds good to me is closing down East Carson to cars, just because as a pedestrian, I love walking in the middle of the road. I understand that is also another complicated thing to figure out, but I just think like that would be safer for everyone there when people are drunk, rowdy, just like eliminating cars from the equation.
Well, and also like that is a standard part of having an entertainment district
Right.
But it is complicated for Pittsburgh, at least, just because like not having a grid and having all our hills, it does make it a little bit more difficult to route vehicles around East Carson since it's such a big thoroughfare.
Yeah, especially because some of our other streets are so teeny tiny narrow. Like there's not a lot of options for where buses can fit and go.
Yeah, I was reminded reading some of these stories that like a huge chunk of Southside is a historic district. Like it's so narrow. And I think I'd forgotten like just how complicated that makes some of this stuff. Like that, I mean, it's really neat. It's actually one of our nation's largest Victorian era, like kind of business districts, restored in the way that it is.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really, really neat. It's such a cool thing, but it's made it very difficult to like be so car focused the way our culture is. So when you need to shut something down, things get weird.
I think it's worth noting, like, as far as I can tell, this is just a proposal right now. People are kind of looking into things. And because East Carson Street, I didn't realize this, but it is a state-owned road. So the city needs to apply for a special permit in order to shut it down.
And we know how good the state is at doing things quickly.
Aw.
I did see there's like a couple other ideas that are being thrown around. I mean, these could work in conjunction. Like police are asking businesses along East Carson Street to consider closing earlier so that there's not places for people to congregate after last call. Although it also seems like the issue is more people congregating in the street than in the businesses, like some of these late night restaurants, which we don't have a lot of restaurant spots open late. It would be sad to lose some of those.
Yeah, I mean, Kambota Khan is a national treasure. Like, those people are so sweet, but also, like, the worst fights by far I've ever seen on East Carson Street happened right outside it. Like, literally egg rolls flying. It was not cool.
Yeah,
What a waste of egg rolls.
Truly.
Yeah,
and people were
people.
screaming that at the people that were fighting. Like, how dare you?
That's so Pittsburgh. Everyone coming together to tell people, like, don't waste you paid money, don't waste it.
Yeah, they're not telling people not to fight because they don't want them to fight. They're telling them not to waste the food.
And then the other piece, which I feel like this had already kind of been happening or was discussed like in previous iterations of saying East Carson Street is out of control. But, officials, police, they want to work with our district attorney to do more cracking down on bars that serve minors.
And I mean, in terms of how things have gotten this summer, I think 4th of July weekend was a big weekend for East Carson Street, and some of those like fights and those stories about unruly crowds because somebody allegedly threw fireworks at police officers. So obviously that was a pretty big mess.
Yeah, I feel like all the stuff that went down 4th of July weekend, that got a lot of coverage. And so there is, at least for some, like at least a perception that things there are trending in the wrong direction. But I was curious if this perception is reality. So I saw this story in Trib Live where they looked into crime stats and found that by a lot of measures, crime in the South Side is actually down this year compared to last year. And of course, last year was when Mayor Ed Gainey and our police chief at the time, Larry Scarato, were talking about what a great job they were doing. Like a lot of measures had been implemented to try to stabilize South Side a bit. So now we're, at least according to this data, in even better shape than we were then.
Yeah, and I mean, just an extra detail here. Actually, good news, I think. I was looking at this trip story and they pulled from a couple of different data sources to show this. So one of them was the city's self-reported crime data that they publish on dashboards. If you want to look at them, we can link them in the show notes. They are pretty detailed, but also some specialized stats, like just reflective of the South Side during their special enforcement periods, quote unquote. But until fairly recently, like you could not really directly compare 2024 to 2025 because this is so wonky, but we switched reporting systems between those 2 years, and the city says
meaning like the way that crime gets tracked and presented.
Yes, which was a federal mandate, but like it happens over time. Like the feds can't compel individual police bureaus to make this change. They have to choose to do it whenever they get there. So that happened in 2021. Pittsburgh complied in 2023. And that's part of why our data was so weird. But anyway, the good news is that we can now look at 2024 and 2025, which I think is like kind of neat for data people, like if you really want to be able to try to draw some conclusions. But again, if you want to look at anything 2023 or older, that gets squishy. Like that's hard to compare apples to apples.
Gotcha. So we could compare this year to last year, but beyond that is
which is
murkier.
What the trip story does. Yeah. So it's a nerdy note for those that care about this sort of thing. And for what it's worth, if you do want to check out any of these crime stats, it's good to know that like this new system is supposed to be a lot better, like more nuanced. It's called NIBRS, NIBRS. But again, so Pittsburgh, I hear that the software that the officers are being asked to use still really sucks. So they're just like not always able to like file a report in a timely fashion.
Yikes.
So this is just like another thing that like they're trying to figure out on the back end. But it does make a difference in that perception you're talking about, Mallory. Like we're only able to react to what we're seeing on the news, what the city's able to report. And if the numbers are weird, like then that means you're not getting a full and accurate picture.
Yeah, which is really important to understand the scale of the problem, if there's a problem at all. I mean, if egg rolls are flying, then at least that needs to get addressed.
That was years ago. In everyone's defense, that was many, many years ago.
And it sounds like we might get a better idea of what's going on soon. There's a survey right now that Charlene and some business leaders in the South Side are circulating. It's specifically for like business owners and people who own property on the South Side. And they're trying to find out what, business owners think would help improve the area. So this survey is open through the end of the summer. I'm really curious to check out those results if and when they're shared publicly.
Yeah, and we will drop a link to that in the show notes in case you are listening in and you own a business on the South Side. We would also love to hear from you, to hear about what your experience has been and what you would like to see. So call our South Side hotline, 412-212-8893. We are now going to move into our trivia question for the week. And as luck would have it, our quizmaster, Kevin Gavin, has a question focused on the South Side, on celebrating its storied history. So back in the 19th century, the area that is now known as the South Side was kind of famous for producing something very special, not steel. What was it?
Glass? I know Pittsburgh produced a lot of that too. I don't know if it was in the South Side, and I don't know if that's considered special, but locking in my answer, I guess.
Yeah, I don't think my guess is special either, but we definitely made a fair amount of beer. Like we made a lot of beer on the South Side.
Made a lot of beer in the past, consuming a lot of beer in the present. We will have the answer after the break.
This show is supported by Quantum Theater. They're opening their 35th season with the world premiere of Seagull, the Anton Chekhov classic, so you know it's going to be messy in the best way, adapted and directed by Joni Schultz. The show, Seagull, it's a play of artists, lovers, dreamers, all very misguided and perfectly human. It is a love story, and I mean really multiple love stories. And everyone is in love with the wrong person. The characters are just so desperate, and Schultz's adaptation brings a contemporary spirit to all of these really fraught, timeless relationships. And a fun bonus, the show is staged outdoors at Chatham University over in Shadyside. A college campus is such a fun location to contemplate the dreams we chase and the way they reveal who we really are. You can catch the shows Tuesdays through Saturdays at 8 p.m. That's from July 25th through August 17th. Get your tickets today at quantumtheater.com/seagull. Today's show is brought to you by Overlook Maps. If you need an easier way to remember that amazing little cafe you found last summer or a perfect hiking spot that your friend told you about, I have good news for you. With Overlook Maps, special places never get lost again. You can create personal lists of places you've been or want to go. Build your must-visit list for your next vacation, your favorite restaurants for nights out, or your getaway ideas when you need to escape. I have personally been DIYing this exact thing since I was in college using Google Maps, and y'all, that is not what Google is best at. My lists are kind of a mess, completely dependent on the notes I did or did not remember to write down at the time, and until now, it was my only way to record all the cool things I had done or wanted to do. I am so excited because Overlook Maps has solved for something I have wanted in my life for years. It's a way to remember, to categorize, to find the best spots for me and my crew, because they have so many curated layers that you can check out, from Michelin guides to the New York Times and eater recommendations. You can even make your own private lists, keep your own secrets, or share with friends and collaborate about the places that you are most excited to check out as a group. You can even put in food preferences, and Overlook Maps will make the recommendations. And they have a routing feature that will tell you where you can eat in the direction that you are already headed. I have been begging the universe for this thing for so long, and Overlook Maps has delivered. Icing on the cake, there are no ads. No one's selling your data to advertisers, just amazing spaces and places organized exactly how you want them. Overlook Maps. Collect, organize, and share the places that matter to you. Download it for free at overlookmaps.com and check out overlookmaps.com/Pittsburgh to see some of our favorite spots on a map and in your pocket. Your places, your way.
We are back, and Sophia, you are correct.
I'm so proud of myself.
I am also correct. It's just not special. It's fine. But I am also right.
Yes. So back in the 19th century, the South Side, I have seen reporting saying it produced half of the nation's glass. There were 76 glass factories in that neighborhood or in that area. And multiple presidents actually ordered glassware manufactured in Pittsburgh for the White House.
I can't decide if that's special or not, because first you said half the nation, so I'm like, so most glass, very ordinary. But White House glass, sure, special.
I mean, okay, I guess maybe by calling this special, I was like inflating its importance a little bit. But it's a beautiful product.
I mean, I don't think it's actually inflating all that much. Like, for what it's worth, if you want to learn a whole lot more about like glass and Pittsburgh's history with it, the History Center has a permanent exhibit that's been around for a while. I think it's called like Shattering Notions or something, which is cute. But you can go check it out and like get like literally a sample of like all the random glass products we made over the years. It is genuinely cool and also very colorful. A lot of like bright, pretty glass in that exhibit.
We should bring more bright glass back.
I think also it's why you go into these old-timey houses and there's those like, I think they're very cool. I know this is up for debate, but like the glass blocks, like I have that in my own house. And when we looked at the house, one of the selling points to me was like that wall of glass blocks.
And actually, Sophia, I think your partner wrote a story about all those glass blocks for WESA.
He did a very deep dive into glass blocks. I actually know way too much about glass blocks. That story is the reason why I locked in my answer at glass. So thank you, Jacob. We'll link that in the show notes too.
Amazing. We'll move on to another primary Pittsburgh feature, bridges, because we keep seeing stories pop lately of so many of them closing.
Yes, so many. So one of them is Jack's Run Road Bridge number 3. What a name. So
I didn't actually know the name of this bridge, even though I used to go over it every single day.
Oh, yeah. I looked it up and I did not know we had like I assume we have number 1, number 2s then. But
but I guess 1 and 2 are doing fine. Number 3, however, shut down.
So that bridge is in Ross. It runs over 79. And then some other closed bridges. There's Heron Avenue Bridge, which links Polish Hill to the Strip. This one is very annoying to me personally because it's technically closed for pedestrians. And that's how I get to the busway.
I was shocked by that just driving by it a couple days ago. Even pedestrians can't go on it. Because a lot of times when they're doing this kind of thing, especially if they're not doing active work yet, pedestrians can still go over it.
Exactly.
How bad does it have to be for pedestrians to not go over it?
That's an indicator. If you're not allowed on as a pedestrian, you probably don't want to be on as a pedestrian. Because to me, that signals it's crumbling as we speak.
And then one more that's close to cars and pedestrians, Charles Anderson Bridge in Oakland, that's by Shenley, and then Panther Hollow Bridge, also in Shenley Park.
Obviously, it's really inconvenient and frustrating for bridges to get shut down, but to me, it seems to show that like the system is working, that we're not going to have another Fern Hollow situation. I should not speak that into existence, but like hopefully this means the city is really on top of getting to these bridges before there's a major disaster.
I mean, we are doing a lot more bridge inspections now and being more critical of the bridge inspectors. Gainey put a bunch of money into bridge inspections and maintenance. So, I mean, it does sound like the system is working. And, you know, experts told Public Source that we definitely had more, like, quote unquote, poor bridges that weren't accounted for earlier when the Fern Hollow collapse happened.
Yeah, which is relevant because like Public Source in that same story, they just pointed out that we have technically more bad city bridges like rated poorly now than we did when Fern Hollow fell. So it's 25 city bridges are rated poor right now. When Fern Hollow fell down, it was 21. And just to put that into context, like there are only 80 city-owned bridges. So like that was solidly, like either way you look at it, that is a quarter to slightly over a quarter of bridges in our city that aren't good.
I'm curious about this critical of our inspectors piece. Is the thought that like they weren't doing their jobs sufficiently before?
Oh, I'll never forget this because we made poor Sophia sit through that entire like National Highway Safety Review meeting, which went on forever. But like part of the problem is that the inspectors didn't do their math correctly. Like they didn't have the thickness of Fern Hollow measured accurately. And that's part of why it wasn't shut down, is because they thought that it could take more weight than it actually could based on the stuff that was not like that was corroded and not up to snuff on it. Like if it had been measured at the correct thickness, none of that may have happened, which is probably also why we have lawsuits pending now.
Yeah, that Public Source story said that that team that looked at the Fern Hollow Bridge before the collapse, they are no longer affiliated with them.
Okay,
Shocking.
I think I was on maternity leave when that meeting happened, so I missed that horrifying detail.
That's true. You did miss that meeting. Sophia really did the Lord's work.
And now
that day.
you know. So now you
I know.
get the horrifying
I'm glad that
details.
I'm only finding out now that things are better and that team has been replaced.
The city actually has a tool for looking at bridges. Like if you drive over one or you've got one in your neighborhood and you're just curious, reminder, this is just 4 city bridges, so those 80. But there's a couple of tools worth pointing out. We'll link to them in the show notes. But one of them is a list of ongoing projects, so things that they're working on in some phase or they recently completed. And then the other one is like a map with information on every bridge, which I just find fascinating. Like
it's
just
too overwhelming.
It's not. I love it because you can like click on a bridge, like either in the map or you can search for its name, like as if any of us know the names of these things. But you can see like how old it is, what year it was built, when its last work was done, what its safety rating is. Yeah, exactly. I think it's so much fun to like just peek through it.
I enjoyed taking a spin through these tools. I was really delighted to see that on that list of ongoing projects, they have the South Negley Avenue Bridge, which goes over the East Busway, although it's still in the design phase. So I think it's going to be a minute before that one gets addressed. But I bike over that bridge all the time. I keep hearing it's hanging on by a thread. There's a traffic light there, so you have to sit on it. And I always imagine just like spilling onto the busway. So put future Mallory at ease that like at some point here that is going to get refurbished.
And one bridge that I am excited is also going to get fixed, this is also very early planning stages, is the 28th Street Bridge. So that's another bridge that connects Polish Hill and the Strip District. Mallory, I want to say I think the 2 bridges we pointed out go over the Norfolk Southern Railroad.
They sure do.
Yeah, and I believe that because it goes over that railroad, the city does need to work with Norfolk Southern. So it might not be like the city's fault that these are, not in great condition. I wonder if there is a little bit more of a slowdown if they have to like chat with the railroad and figure out how they're going to work around that.
There is precedent for that, actually. Like that's what happened on the north side when they were trying to complete a few bridges over there because they were trying to get Norfolk Southern to pay a portion of it because it can also like affect their rail traffic. And I think I'm getting this right, that they ended up actually getting that they figured out an agreement and it was a shared cost situation, but it took a very long time. Very related to all of this, there was actually another new report that was studying like our local bridge and roadway conditions. So this is all over the region. It was state and federal data that they used, and they pulled from Allegheny, Armstrong, Beaver, Butler, Fayette, Lawrence, Washington, and Westmoreland County. So like our whole, like I said, our whole region. So this is from TRIP, that like transportation nonprofit. They found that 15% of our region's bridges are in poor condition. So again, not just city, whole region.
That's still better than the cities, though, like the 25 out of 80.
It's also a lot more bridges. And 38% of our roads are in bad shape.
I'm so curious how that compares to other places.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of it's got to be quantity, but it's the percentage part to me that I think is like important, right? For what it's worth, poor by TRIP's measurement means that it's in serious need of repair or replacement.
Oh, that part's kind of scary.
And I wonder if the poor rating is also related to drivability. Because while I was digging into all of this, I found that the U.S. Department of Transportation also measures our roadways. And one of the ways they do it is by roughness, quote unquote roughness.
How do they do that? Are they like stroking the concrete or something? Like,
I
is
have
it like,
no
is there a
idea.
pothole?
I'm imagining
Potholes
like a
are a
glass
part
of
of it.
water in the cup holder and seeing how much it shakes.
They do mention like the bumps are part of it, and they only measure like a stretch of a road. So like a roadway could get a terrible rating, and it's like maybe they only measured the stretch that sucks. I don't know. This one's federal, but it said 1 out of every 5 road segments that they studied around Pittsburgh got a poor rating. So once again, 20%.
Not surprising. Honestly, surprised it's not higher.
WTAE put together this long list of the worst offenders around us, but a couple that stuck out to me were Boulevard of the Allies at Grant. So like,
Great, like one of our most traveled streets in the city.
I know. I mean, Grant Street is also cobblestones. Like it's brick. So I don't like. Of course,
That's
it's gonna
rough.
bump. Yeah, it is rough. 5th near the Birmingham Bridge at Moultrie, which like where those cross has been under construction for years because they've been doing all those lead line replacements. Once again, not sure that's fair. And then General Robinson near Federal Street on the north side. And they're not wrong, but I just feel like it like discounts like so many of our construction projects, and like you can't study Pittsburgh while it's under construction. It's just not a fair measure.
But our roads are always under construction.
I know. Anyway, if you have thoughts and feelings, hit us up.
This episode of CityCast is sponsored by Babbel. Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start that journey today? You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based technique that quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel, just one of the 12 languages you can learn with it, including Dutch, French, Italian, which is going to be next for me, Turkish, and Russian. I love the interactive dialogues that Babbel has, which allow me to practice what I've learned right away, and also the speech recognition function, which makes sure I'm getting the pronunciation just right, which honestly, usually I'm not. Also, I love that Babbel's lessons always cover actual things that I talk about in the real world, like food, talking to people I've just met, and also food. Staying motivated to learn a new language has never been easier thanks to real-time feedback, progress trackers, and handy visualizations, in only 10 to 15 minutes a day on Babbel's mobile app or website. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for our listeners at babbel.com/citycast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/citycast. Spelled BABBEL.com/citycast. Babbel.com/citycast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
We are back, and we've got recommendations from our CityCast Pittsburgh neighbors. Sophia, who are we shouting out today?
Yes, we've got a puff and a sip. So I'll start with the puff. Akasha W is shouting out Pittsburgh Smoke Shop in Bellevue and says that they serve the community at every opportunity and have really great prices. I was also poking around on like Google Maps and they have a perfect 5 for Google reviews. So It seems like a lot of people like it.
Okay, but how many reviews? Sometimes you see 5 stars and then it's just one really pleased person and no one else has weighed in.
Almost 300. And there are a couple people with like not 5-star reviews, but enough people love it that it, still shines.
Okay, go Pittsburgh Smoke Shop.
And then Tom Yu is shouting out Back Alley Brewing in Dormont. Tom says that they have great beer and do a lot of events both in-house and like all around the South Hills. So I peeped at their website and I saw that they have things like trivia and karaoke at the brewery, but they also pop up at like a mini golf place with their beer. So I think that is very fun.
Thank you so much, Akasha and Tom, for your suggestions. If you want to share your favorite local business, nonprofit, local smoke shop, whatever, on the podcast and in our newsletter, you can become a CityCast Pittsburgh neighbor and send us your shout out. We will read it every Friday. You can join today at membership.citycast.fm. Once again, that is membership.citycast.fm.
And welcome to our newest neighbor, Carol S. Thank you for joining us. We want to hear your shout out. Let us know what you're loving.
So we're going to end with downtown getting a grocery store. This has been the most exciting news to me this week because I love a grocery store.
Same. And I don't think downtown has had one in ages. Like I was looking at stories and
a long time.
They all said different numbers, but like it seems consensus is at least 20 to 30 years.
Right. It's like when that Target opened, it was like, okay, you can get groceries downtown, but it's not actually a grocery store.
I do not like the grocery sections in Target. Like, I just don't think that doesn't get to count. That's not a real thing.
Neither do I. Like, I don't go to the Target downtown that often. And like, I'm not really buying groceries at Target anyway, because what I have in the past, like, they're just not stocked or their produce has gotten bad really fast for me. Like, it just doesn't feel worth it.
Yeah, it's like fine for packaged stuff, but like you don't get a lot of fresh stuff. And actually, I do think it's like worth saying why for what it's like. There was a fascinating episode of Today Explained once about like Target and how it like picks how much stuff to give space to. And apparently their grocery section is like the one that is most likely to accordion based on need. So like because they're limited in space downtown, it seems like it's good guess that perhaps that's why we don't have great grocery selection in downtown Pittsburgh, because like they need to devote space to all these other things. And that was more of like a gamble in terms of risk reward. So I get it. And I'm very, very, very glad we finally get real groceries.
So the grocery store that's coming is called Well Market, and it's going to be at 817 Liberty Avenue. So that's right by Harris Theater. And, the space used to be an eyeglasses store.
Very important Pittsburgh detail. You always got to say what it used to be.
And, eyeglasses store, boring. Groceries, exciting. The concept is owned by 2 CMU grads, and this is going to be a full-service grocery store, so they'll have a lot of produce. They say a lot of it's going to be organic. There's going to be bulk foods, prepped foods. There's a florist, and I think it's also exciting that they're going to have a cafe and juice bar, too.
This building does not look big. Like, did y'all Google Street View this? Like, it's the first thing I did, trying to figure out what it used to be. But like, it doesn't seem very big, but I imagine it's probably one of those Pittsburgh buildings where like it doesn't look big, but then it's like extremely deep, right? Mm-hmm. That's my guess.
I also, when I hear things like organic foods, juice bar, I wonder how affordable it's going to be. Like, I think there's room for all kinds of grocery stores in the city, but if you're coming into a neighborhood that has nothing, I hope that everybody in the neighborhood can actually take advantage of it.
I think they said it was going to be like 40% organic. So it's not the whole store. It's
Gotcha.
a commitment to sustainability, but like also being reasonable about like what they can do initially, and also like what maybe the market might demand.
That makes sense. I mean, I also think like we've heard so much talk, we've talked about on the show, of this desire to bring more people downtown and bring more residents downtown, like have more people decide that's where they want to live. That seems like a hard pitch to make when there is not a place you can just walk and get groceries. So I imagine this might help with just the whole like trying to make downtown a more residential space.
I'm going to be honest too, based on like the whole concept right now, I would also go downtown for the grocery store because one of the owners, Eric Iacone, told WTAE that he wants to be hosting pop-ups, working with local farms and local producers. He wants to bring in chefs for events and collaborations. So honestly, this sounds like a good foodie destination. One more thing I also saw is that it sounds like they're trying to figure out like a parking situation. So I think that's also nice. I don't know exactly what they're going to do. Eric said they're trying to figure out parking in the back. But like,
so maybe it's not as deep as I think it is if there's parking in the back. I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll see. But like, I know the idea is probably for people to walk and get their groceries. But if you're doing a really big haul, it is nice to have a car.
Or if you want to like attract all those people like Sophia who will drive for a grocery store, you need to have somewhere for them to land.
Sophia will have someone else drive.
No, I'm busing for that grocery store.
I mean, yes, I know Sophia's not actually the one behind the wheel, but still, you will travel for a grocery.
Yeah, literally when I'm on vacation, I will go check out a local grocery store if there's a chain I haven't been to. Well, you can definitely see me there when the grocery store is open. We don't have an exact opening date yet, but WTAE reported that it's looking like it should be open in about a year.
I wonder if that's going to be before or after the 2026 NFL draft. Like that seems to be our deadline for everything downtown, right? A couple other things to know for the week. Just real quick, Pittsburgh's own Summer Lee, a U.S. House representative, has jumped into the fray on this whole Jeffrey Epstein stuff. So she made a motion this week to subpoena the Justice Department to hand over the full unredacted files. And a handful of Republicans agreed with her. But who knows what's going to happen with this, because a couple hours later, the U.S. House started their August vacation a little bit early. So TBD. And I will leave you with some sort of good news. Do y'all remember, were your phones blowing up a few weeks ago with all those 911 outages? Like mine was going nuts.
Yeah, and it blew my mind that 911 could just be down.
Yeah, same. I did not know that that was a thing, especially not like repeatedly. It happened for hours on my phone. It turns out that was a tech glitch. And the stories I read, tech glitch, not a cyber attack. The concept of this being a possible cyber attack never once occurred to me.
Yikes,
no,
yikes,
I
yikes.
just assumed that our state system went down.
I thought it was because they didn't pay the bills because they don't have the budget.
Oh, no.
Bringing it full circle. None of the stories I read say what the quote unquote defect in the system actually was, just that there was one.
Well, if they're worried about cyber attacks now, I kind of get it.
Fair enough. But all the stories I saw about this suggest saving your county's alternate 911 option just in case this ever happens again. So for what it's worth, I'd save it in your phone. Ours is 412-473-3056. If you need 911, that's the other option.
BRB, gonna do that right now.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. Our music is by Benji, All the Kimonos, Hip Color, Pan River, Arc du Soleil, and Bagel, with additional music from epidemicsound.com. Mallory Falk is our executive producer. Sophia Lowe produces the show. Francesca DeBecco writes our Hey Pittsburgh newsletter, and I am your host, Megan Harris. We will be back on Monday with more news from around the city. Have a great weekend, y'all. Just say 79. You don't say. Yeah. You're a local.
Okay. I'm sorry. New Jersey, we always say the I. So.
No I here. I know in Tennessee we said the I too, but no I down here. We just pretend all the I's don't exist.